The first question I have for you, Professor, is just very simply, why would the Chinese government want foreigners to learn Chinese?
It's because China is entering the 21st century wanting to integrate with the global economy. You could see that through a number of actions, including, for example, the inclusion of China into the WTO. And just like the 19th century belonged to Europe, the 20th century to the United States, many believe that the 21st century belongs to China, and this is China's way to really let people know about their culture, their language, their economy.
From the Chinese government perspective, though, what do they have to gain if a lot of foreigners start learning Chinese?
Well, think about American programs such as the Fulbright program that we have in the U.S., where we send academics as sort of cultural diplomats of the United States to go out there and spread American ideology, American education, American culture, and American way of thinking. In the same way, the French, the German, the British have organizations that do similar things. So the Chinese are just joining the league of important nations that are spreading their culture and language and integrating to the rest of the world. They want to make sure that China takes its place among the world's leaders economically and culturally.
This reminds me of sort of what happened during the Cold War. You know, you saw the Cold War being fought on a cultural stage as well, on an athletic stage, things like that. I mean, you're seeing that as well. You're seeing the Chinese concentrate on athletics ahead of the Beijing Olympics. Is this all sort of rolled in together with China trying to compete with Western powers on a cultural stage?
I think that we have to be careful when we make analogies, whether it's Russia or Japan or any other country with China, because China is a unique place in a unique time in history that ideologically and culturally have some things in common with the United States and some things in conflict with the United States. And we could see, for example, in recent days, the importance of China in negotiating with North Korea and how the United States is leveraging the relationship with China to help bring stability to the Asian region. So I'm careful about making the analogy to Russia, because there was an ideological war that was taking place between Russia and the United States. I don't think we're necessarily ideologically opposed to China. I mean, the United States and China are the best trading partners in the world. We do more business with each other than any other country in terms of investment, in terms of trade, in terms of learning the language and the culture. And this is part of the exciting development that is taking place between China and the United States.
Now, we've talked about why China would be interested in having foreigners learn their language. From our point of view, from the American point of view, why should we want to learn Chinese?
Every language you know is like being introduced to a new world. And in China, more than any other place where it's still English usage is relatively limited in percentage terms, if you want to do business in the world stage, if you want to be a player in the world stage, you're going to have to learn Chinese.
That sounds just like what we were talking about back in the 80s with Japanese. If you want to be a player economically on the world stage, you've got to learn Japanese.
Again, going back to the Russian example that we talked about earlier, I think that we have to be careful with analogies. Japan and China share some similarities in the way they expanded in the rise of their economic might. But China is a unique place, and we're still talking about 1.3 billion people, whereas Japan is a much smaller population, is an island with limited impact. China's impact will only grow in years to come.
Professor Alon, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for coming.